Whoa, cut. Hold on. Is there a problem? Dude, the wind effect, it's getting a bit old. That's like 3 out of 4 episodes now. So it was kind of just supposed to be for the Gandalf thing, okay? You were just supposed to be for the Gandalf thing, right? Okay, I'm sorry. That was harsh. Let's just not do the wind effect today, okay? As you wish. Okay, here we go. Ready? Okay, let's do it. All right, here we go. Dude, what did I just say? It wasn't the wind effect. It was the wind in the studio. There's no wind in the studio, man. The windows are all closed. It's freaking freezing outside. Did I just do the intro? Can you just not hit the wind and I'll do the intro now, please? May I at least use the horn of celebration? All right, you can use the horn, but not the wind, all right? Now, we got to get on with it because time's a-wasting. Okay, here we go. Ready? Okay. Ladies and gents... Dude, what are you doing? Look, man, you're supposed to be dignified, okay? I don't know what your game is here, but we brought you in to bring a bit of dignity to the show. So can you quit horsing around and just let us do the freaking intro? Okay, that's cute. You got anything else you want to try? Anything else you want to throw at us right now? Forget it. Danny, just roll intro. Hello, you're listening to the John Huff Podcast. Oh, yay. I have beside me, in my little studio, a freshly chilled, recently opened bottle of Glaceau vitamin water. The acai flavor. Acai blueberry pomegranate. That's a lot of things. Is it acai? Is it acai? Is it acai? I've heard other podcasts actually debate this topic. And so, when I question the validity of my own show and some of the goofy stuff I talk about, I remind myself that in discussing how to pronounce ACAI, I'm in fact falling in with a pretty dignified peer group. None of that matters. What matters, if you're a student of the show, if you've been following along and you go all the way back to the 5 Things episode, you will recall me telling the harrowing tale of our ride back from Texas in January, back to Canada, 30 hours on the road, 30 hours in the van, about a dozen of which I spent with horrendous, uncontrollable food poisoning. Now, I'm not going to give you the whole story again here, because frankly, I don't want to relive it. And I told it in vivid and engaging detail on the 5 Things episode, so go back to whatever number that was. You'll find it. It's there. It's all in the Apple. It's all in the Google. It's all in the Stitcher. It's all in the YouTube. It's all in the Spotify. And you can help me out a great deal if you'd leave me a rating and review on those platforms. But I'm not here to beg you. Not here to solicit. Here to keep you entertained. Here to give you something to think about. And what we're going to think about today is gallbladder remedies as tested in the John Huff Podcast laboratories. But before we get to that, if you recall in the food poisoning story, I picked up something absolutely awful, and I don't want to relive this, but at a certain point, we are driving home. This is day 2 of food poisoning, all right? Food poisoning kicked in an hour after I bought a Trump hat for my friend. I know. My own fault, karma, and it bit me hard. But I was totally dehydrated. This is the day after, all right? So food poisoning kicked in the evening. I was driving the van. I had to exit the van because bad things were about to happen. And I spent all night upside down in the bathroom. And then the next day, had to get home, man. Had to get home. So there's me in the backseat of the van, clutching to my chest a borrowed trash basin, plastic one, and doing my best not to explode, and in several cases, failing in that quest. But I was utterly dehydrated, and we knew I had to get something into me, man, even if I couldn't keep it down. And so we stopped at a rest stop, right? Ken the Zen, Sarah, Smith, and me. And we were getting closer to home, but we still had like some meat on the bone, man. We still had like 8 hours of driving to do. And if you've ever had food poisoning, it ain't fun in the comfort of your own home. Put yourself in the back of a van, clutching a plastic wastebasket, and boy, that just ups the fun factor, doesn't it? It does make for a good story, though, 7 or 8 months later, and everybody's feeling fine. But I was in the back of the van, and we're riding home, and I'm totally dehydrated because I couldn't keep anything down, and I didn't want to try to put anything in. And we stopped at a rest stop, and Sarah and Ken went in to use the bathroom, get some foodstuffs, whatever, road stop, you know what it's like. And I'm in the back, and they come back from the little store, and Ken reaches through the front seats, and hands to me a bottle of the vitamin water. And I gotta tell you, in that moment, in that time, sick as I was, dehydrated as I was, with my mouth full of the taste of horror, the taste of gastronomic horror, I opened the bottle on this cold vitamin water. I don't know if you've ever had the vitamin water, but I don't know if it's good for you or not, if it's just like a placebo or just some sort of sugar thing, but it was so cold and it was so delicious. It was the most wonderful thing I could imagine consuming at that moment in time. And the vitamins came in, and I want to tell you that the vitamins flooded my system, and they pushed out all the bad stuff. They gathered it up and bottled it up, packaged it, put a bow on it, and stayed down and fought the good fight. Didn't happen, all right? All that vitamin water came right back up, and not too much further down the road. But in that moment, the first sip or two of that vitamin water, cold, tasty, it was the most magnificent thing I think that I had ever tasted. And so, it's fitting that I have here today beside me a bottle of the vitamin water, the acai blueberry pomegranate. It's got a triple X on it for antioxidants, although that's supposed to be titillating. I'm reading the label. It says so right on it. That's great marketing, that. I got it on here because we're talking medicine today, all right? We're going all medical here. Now, but I want to preface what I'm about to say, clear up any misconceptions before they arise. I'm not a doctor. But 2 of my sisters have official medical training, and I used to live next door to an ER nurse. So therefore, I feel as though I have some qualification to say what I'm about to say right now. We're going to talk about the John Huff Podcast gallbladder home remedies. I don't know if you've had the gallbladder pain, kids, all right? And this is something I've been afflicted with past 4 or 5 years. It's hard to describe if you haven't experienced it. You got your levels, right? You got your levels. Now, you might just have a bit of gallbladder discomfort. Now, you'll feel a little ache, right? Right side of your abdomen, just below your rib cage, all right? You can put your finger on it, you can feel it. That's your gallbladder. Aids in digestion. But evidently, it's one of those evolutionary things that we don't really need so much anymore because they just take it right out of you if it's acting up. And so you wonder why God put things in you that you don't actually need. But I don't want to open up any sort of religious debate here. I don't want to open up anything ecclesiastical. You know what I'm saying? That's a little bit much for a Friday night. But your gallbladder pain can range from a little ache down there, often brought on by greasy foods or too much foods or something like that. You got gallstones in there, they begin to act up. And it can go all the way to you're on your face, on the floor, vomiting, it gets pretty bad, and at that point is when they start to talk about taking out your gallbladder. Now, there's a reason I'm telling you all this, okay? Just got to hang with me, all right? Just got to take the ride. So, I've had the gallbladder issues to varying degrees of severity for the past 4 or 5 years, okay? And I got to tell you, it ain't fun. Now, in my case, gallbladder pain tends to come from stress. I'm one of those people who carries the stress in the abdomen, right? Some people carry the stress up on the shoulders. You know those people, you can hit them with a hammer and the hammer shatters? I'm a stomach guy, all right? So I hold it all in my stomach. And that's not such a good thing, man, because there's a lot down there that can be affected by this and it can go wrong. And in my case, sometimes I get the stress, the gallbladder kicks in. A lot of time it's food thing, like a greasy food thing or a really heavy meal. If you're prone to gallbladder issues, that's going to trip the wire for you. It's going to make that pain come up, and it's not fun, man. And I've had to experiment over the years with a variety of home remedies to relieve that pain. Because I got to tell you, man, once that gallbladder locks in, I want you to imagine Lou Ferrigno, okay? You know Lou Ferrigno, the Hulk, pumping iron. You're probably all roughly the same age as me. You know Lou. You know Big Louie. Big Louie. The last scene of Pumping Iron with Arnold. Anyways, imagine Lou Ferrigno when he was playing Hercules. You can go on the Google and look up a photo of this, and probably you can find the movie on YouTube. There'd be a picture of Lou, and he'll be wearing like that Hercules toga thing and the sandals. And he'll be a giant, jacked dude, and he'll have a sword. You imagine Lou taking that sword and ramming the pointy end right through you. All right? Right side abdomen, just under the rib cage. That's what the gallbladder pain can feel like, all right? And that can last a long time. Some people get off easy, you know? It lasts for half an hour, a bit of discomfort goes away. Other people, we're talking hours, man. This is a long process, and you get some experience with it. You begin to feel that coming. You know, you feel a dull ache. I felt the dull ache earlier this week, and that's why I'm talking about it right now, because I want to provide a public service. It's important that this show provides useful, valuable information, tips and tricks for a better life, man. Sometimes that's going to be spiritual. Sometimes it's going to be a good song. Sometimes it's going to be my home remedies for helping ease your gallbladder pain. Because you know, if you've ever had a gallbladder attack, there's very little else you want beyond relief from that pain. And I'll tell you what my number one solution is, kids. Here in 2020, the year of pain, the number one home remedy gallbladder pain removal system endorsed by the John Huff Podcast is your apple cider vinegar, all right? Look, I found this out the hard way. Something I never do anymore. Something I never do anymore, kids. If I'm leaving my house for any sort of extended period of time, I do not do so without a bottle of apple cider vinegar. Now, if you are prone to gastrointestinal issues or gallbladder pain, make sure you get yourself a bottle of apple cider vinegar. It is the thing I have found that works most consistently. Not all the time. I am very, very, very regretful to say, but a lot of the time this works, and I found out the hard way that you got to take the apple cider vinegar with you, man. Found that out the hard way. I am the voice of experience. Now listen to your Uncle Johnny, okay? You can trust me on this. I want you to picture us, the band, the Sarah Smith touring band, Sarah and Denny Boy and Ken the Zen and me, rolling down the highway in the Netherlands. I believe this was 2 tours ago, in the fall. Sky's a little bit gray, bit of a chill in the air. We're driving from Germany into the Netherlands. And somewhere along the way, doesn't Lou Ferrigno just kind of pop up and poke, poke, poke at my belly just a little bit? And I was stressed about something because, you know, road life can be stressful, man. It doesn't take much. And so something tripped it. That's an awful feeling, man, because I said I'm experienced, so you can begin to sense when this is coming. So you feel those first pangs, right? You feel that first little poke in the ribs, and you're like, uh-oh. You try to breathe through it. Maybe try to meditate your way through it if you can. Some people are adept at that. I'm not there yet. Can't think it away, can't breathe it away, and I just feel it getting stronger and stronger and stronger. I'm in the front seat, and I'm getting real quiet, man. You ever have a day that was the greatest day of your life and the worst day of your life at the same time? Have you ever had a day that's like two sides of a coin? This was that day, all right? Now, we were driving in the Netherlands to this little fishing town called Urk. Urk, Netherlands, all right? There's a reason why I'm telling you all this, okay? You just got to hang in. We're on our way to Urk. I feel the pangs beginning, all right? Bit of stress. I don't know what. Something going on. I feel the pangs beginning, all right? And I got to tell you, Urk is one of the great places I've ever been in my life, okay? Urk is this tiny little fishing village, right? In the Netherlands. You don't think of fishing villages when you think of the Netherlands, do you? But you get to this little town with its cobblestone streets. Europe is so quaint and beautiful, and its A-frame houses. It's like a postcard. A lot of villages over there that are like postcards, man. Netherlands is full of them, and Urk is one. And you get down kind of to the town square, right? And there's a marina there. And there's 300 sailboats, fishing boats, all just boats in the marina. It's beautiful. Beautiful. And there's seagulls, there's birds, and it smells like the sea, and it's just this beautiful, wonderful little village. We've had some great times in Urk, man. And this particular time was the second trip, all right? So we were going in with fond memories of this place, because the first time we toured Europe in 2017, we did a show at this fish bar. It's a fish bar. It's a nautically themed restaurant in Urk, Netherlands, right? Sailboats bobbling on the marina, right? And we loaded in and we played this, what turned out to be a bananas show. But before we played the show, they fed us the fish, man. You ever had fish in a real fishing village? You know what I mean? Like a real fishing village where they went out and they got the fish themselves and they brought it in and they sold it to the restaurant and the restaurant cooked it up, and that all happened like this morning as you were driving in. You know, if you've never gone to a real fishing town and eaten the fish, you need to put that on your bucket list, all right? So we got the chance to do that in Urk. And they brought out the fish, and it was fried fish, horrendous for you. One of the most delicious things I've ever eaten in my life, okay? We loaded up on the fish and the French fries, and I gotta tell you, delicious, bad idea before a show, especially if you're a singer. That's gonna mess with your voice, man. But when you're on the road, you're on the road, and you've got to kind of deal with it as it comes. There's not a whole lot of time usually to space out your meal and then take a little breather and then get ready to play. A lot of the times it's like you set up and you got to go and you got this opportunity to eat and that's it. Kitchen's closed by the time you're done, right? So it's like, all right, we got to eat it now, and eat it we did because it was delicious. And we played that show and it was freaking great, and we loved Urk. And after that show, I met one of the great characters of my whole entire touring experience, such as it is. One of the great things about touring, one of the great things about being on the road is the characters that come along, man. And you meet all sorts of weird, funny, charismatic, strange, cool, awesome people along the way. And it's every night a new town and new people and new characters. And so this first night in Urk, we played this show and we met this dude who came to an after party with us. I don't know how he wound up in our little party. I don't know who his connection was exactly. He was something Mediterranean-ish. And he didn't speak English, man. People in the Netherlands speak English better than I do. But this dude was sitting at the end of the table. We were like, we were just having like a little after party in the band house, the lads and a couple of other people from the show who helped put the show together. And this guy. And he just sat at the end of the table he was glowing a little bit. Let's just say the dude was glowing a little bit. And so he was sitting at the end of the table, not understanding a word anybody was saying, and laughing the whole night. He just sat there with this smile on his face, laughing, and I couldn't look away from this guy, man. It was amazing. You ever meet a guy you just can't look away from? He's so entertaining, you can't even handle it. That was this dude, and he just sat there all night laughing and laughing and laughing and smiling and not having any idea what was going on and getting drunker and drunker by the second. It was the best, and that was a tragic day. I found out that day that one of my cats had been put to sleep in my absence, and so I needed a laugh and a distraction, and the universe provided one in the form of this guy. So it came to later in the evening, and dude decided he had to go, I gather. Nobody had any idea what he was saying. He just had to go. And so he gets up, and he just went around the table saying goodbye to everyone. Goodbye, goodbye, and he'd take a drink and, like, shake your hand and go to the next guy. Goodbye, and take a drink and shake your hand. And he went around the table, said goodbye to everybody, and then just kept going around the table like he went around again. I don't know if he realized he'd already done this trip, man, but he just kept going around the table saying goodbye and drinking, and he's staggering and he's laughing. He was the funniest freaking guy. You know those infectious laugh people? Don't you love the infectious laugh people? He was one of those guys. And the context of all this made him funnier than ever because he had no idea what was going on. And we're like, who is this guy? So he does the goodbye circuit, and he finally puts his drink down, and then he just staggers away. Then he was just gone. He was out the door and gone, and we're like, what was that? And nobody knew, and it was the best. I love the characters. One night in Vienna, we went out after the show looking for a place to have a nightcap, and Vienna was closed. I don't know what the problem. It's the most magnificent city I've ever seen in my life, and I cannot wait to go back there. But there was nowhere to go except the club we just played. So we went in, and there was like the main room, and then there was a side bar. So we went into the little side bar to have a nightcap, and there's just this girl sitting there at the bar, this blonde girl named Anna. And Anna was just another one of these characters, and we talked to her about dreams and California and her boyfriend and a dog. It was like a scene out of a movie, man, like in one of those cool hip indie movies where you just sort of meet this compelling stranger at the bar. And we just talked to this girl for half an hour, and then we went upstairs and we never saw Anna again. And Anna in Vienna, I hope we do see you again sometime. But these are the people you meet along the way, all right? And it's the characters that really make touring. Playing the shows is what makes it great, but the characters are what really makes it memorable. You know, the shows blur past the characters you remember. Anna at the bar in Vienna. And the dude from the party in Urk, who about 45 minutes or an hour after he vacated the premises and was gone, suddenly was back. There came a knock on the door, and in he came, just laughing. And I almost fell over. I couldn't believe this dude was back. It was like one of the great moments of my life. This guy returned. And where did you go, man? Where were you? Were you just kind of laying on the grass outside? Did you go wandering? I thought he'd fall into the ocean. I thought he'd trip over something in the marina and he'd be gone, or he'd just like turn up the next day somewhere. But anyways, so this is our memory of Urk. One of the great places to be is Urk, Netherlands. So fast forward a couple years, or maybe just 1 year, I don't remember. We're driving back into Urk, full of anticipation about spending some more time there because it's such a great little town, and we were set to play this really nice kind of it was a nice club, not the Fish House this time, but this nice club, and like with nice seating and lights, and it was a really cool space. But we're heading into town, and Lou Ferrigno's got his sword to the hilt in my stomach, all right? Now, I'm deathly quiet in the front seat. And it was the worst gallbladder attack of my life. Now, it was not on my face throwing up. We need to go to the hospital, but it was pretty freaking bad. And I got nothing, man. Now, I've tried the things. I've tried your Tylenol, and I've tried whatever, your painkillers. Not really effective for me, man. Doesn't really work. And we pull into town, and there's a dude who meets us there who's kind of our liaison for the show and the venue. And we had to make this dude understand. I'm shortening this story. I mean, this Lou Ferrigno to the hilt in my gut was like a couple hours as we were on the road. It was bad news. And at a certain point, Sarah just kind of looked at me and went, "Are you all right, man?" Because I had clammed up, and I was like, it was very, very painful. It was bad. And it's freaking scary, man, because you know how this escalates, right? Now, when you've had a few of these attacks, you kind of know the severity level. It gets to it, and you're like, okay, this will eventually go away. I just got to ride it out. But in the back of your mind, it's like, at a certain point, people have to have the surgery. And usually it's sneaking up on being an emergency at that point. And this had escalated beyond any attack that I've had before. And in the back of my mind, I'm like, uh-oh. Like, are we looking at a hospital here? What does that even mean for me as a foreign national driving around in this country? So it's getting a little bit scary to go with. And the worst part is that they were taking us to a special restaurant in Earth where they were going to give us the best fish in the whole village. The best fish in the whole village, man. They were driving us. We were en route directly to the best fish in the whole village. And I don't need to tell you that when you're in the throes of a gallbladder attack, you don't want to eat anything, all right? And the last thing you want to eat is a big fried thing, all right? So how utterly disappointing to go with the fact that I'm not sure I won't need a freaking surgery here. And do they have that in Irk? Is it going to be some like guy with a hand missing? You know, a whale took it and he's going to use his hook to just carve that thing out of me? I don't know. It was scary, man. So we get into town, and I'm like, I need apple cider vinegar. This is my only hope. I'd had great success with apple cider vinegar. Now, that's not an easy drink, man. That's not your nice red wine. That's not your Merlot. That's not even your acai blueberry pomegranate mineral water, all right? Drinking straight apple cider vinegar is a rough ride, okay? That is not tasty, and it is harsh going down. But it works. There's something in the acidity of the apple cider vinegar that takes away whatever's going on with the gallbladder. You don't have to drink a lot, you know. I don't know. I can't put percentages or milliliters on this or anything, but quarter of a cup, maybe something like that. Half a cup, that's a lot. But if you can get it down and give it 20 minutes, a lot of the time that pain will begin to ease, right? So we get into town, and I'm like, my only hope, Obi-Wan, is apple cider vinegar. Now we got to make this dude from the club understand what on earth I'm talking about. But eventually he got it, right? And we went into the store, and mercy, mercy, mercy. We found some apple cider vinegar, and I drank it, and I hoped and I prayed to the gods of Urk and all of the fish in the sea that it would work. And so we get to the fish restaurant where they're going to give us the best fish in a fishing village, man. How you going to top that? How you going to top that? The fish came out. I'm still in agony. The fish came out, and it looked and it smelled so good that I still ate a couple bites of it, even in agony, even fearing a surgery, even not being sure if my gallbladder was going to fly out my face. I had to try the fish. It looked and smelled that good, even in my condition. And I got to tell you something. I don't regret it, man, because it was really something. And how dearly would I like to go back and have a proper go at it? So I drink the apple cider vinegar, and we go to the show, and we're setting it up, and I'm really struggling, and I'm scared, and I'm frustrated, because it's a frustrating thing to be sick or injured on the road, man. I have two enduring fears when I'm touring. Severe gallbladder attack is one. I have three deep fears when I'm on the road. Gallbladder attack is one. kidney stone. I got a kidney thing going on that has been worrying me. That's another one that's new, and that scares me. And putting my back out. Any one of those three things happening at a severe level scares the bejeebers out of me if I'm on the road. And it doesn't have to be on tour. It's even if I'm going away for a week someplace. It's like any of those things happen, bad freaking news. But anything that might require me to be left behind somewhere. Like the tour can't stop because the dude put his back out. The show must go on. And what do? If the drummer can't stand up, you got to leave him at the hotel. And like, you don't need that, man. And, you know, as effective as apple cider vinegar can be, it ain't going to fix your back. So I have to be super duper careful when I'm on the road because I got a wonky back situation. And if it goes into spasms, your boy's down for the count. And that ain't going to help nobody. So we're setting up. And at a certain point, the apple cider vinegar kicked in. How do I make you understand the relief that washes over a person when that level of pain begins to dissipate? And with it, the kind of euphoria, the relief, and then the euphoria that it's going to be okay, that the remedy is working. And this sort of flood washes over you. I was just warm all over. And that's why I say, you know, have you ever had a day that was both the worst and the best day of your life? Well, that was, up until that point, one of the worst days of my whole life. I'm not exaggerating at all. It was bad freaking news. And when the pain went away, thank you, apple cider vinegar, the euphoria that followed. This is an interesting object lesson, man. You know, sometimes you depend on the darkness to really feel the light. You know what I mean? Sometimes you've got to be in severe pain before you can really appreciate the simple beauty of not being in severe pain. And the pain lifted, and I have never been happier in my life than I was playing that show at that great little club in Urk, Netherlands, with the fishing boats bobbling on the water, and no gallbladder pain. So now, from that moment on, I never go anyplace for an extended period of time without a bottle of apple cider vinegar. Comes in handy, man. Comes in super duper handy. Now, your baking soda also works sometimes, right? Sometimes it's a gas situation, right? If you've had a heavy meal or a really greasy meal and that trips the gallbladder a little bit, baking soda can work, all right? So you take the baking soda, you put maybe a teaspoon in the bottom of a glass, pour some water on it. Don't dilute it too much. You dilute it too much, it won't work. But you swallow that and it will take care of some of the gas down there, and that will definitely help. So keep your baking soda handy. Keep your apple cider vinegar handy, man. That is the stuff. And it's good for kidney situations, too. I've read that apple cider vinegar will dissolve small kidney stones. I don't even know if I have that. I think I occasionally get twangs in my kidney that scare me a little bit. And I went to the doctor and I had things checked out, and there doesn't seem to be any issue. So I'm thinking that's like a stress thing, too. I think it's psychosomatic. I carry all of my stuff in the system, in the digestive system, right? So it could be just another thing. And to be honest, that's not really been an issue for quite a while. So maybe I'm okay there. Apple cider vinegar can be good for that. There was a time, like when we were in Texas in January, I was a little worried about the kidney situation. So I was drinking a bit of apple cider vinegar tea every day, just hot water with apple cider vinegar diluted in it. And that helped. And as a side effect, I didn't have any gallbladder situations because I always had the apple cider vinegar going. So if you have gallbladder issues, if you're just beginning to, if you're not sure what to do about that pain, try the apple cider vinegar. Drink it straight if you can, 3-4 sips. And if you have to dilute it to get it down, that's okay too. Just don't do it too much. You will dull the effectiveness. And I think try not to overdo it. Like you're pouring some pretty heavy duty acid into your system there. So that's like, just be a little bit careful with it. Do your own research, do your own experiments, but that has worked for me. All right. Why am I telling you this? Well, I wanted to tell you Irk stories because Irk is great. And I wanted to tell you how to fix a severe abdominal situation because if you're listening to this on release day, it's election day, kids. So this, I was going to say this is a bit of a tip to all of my American listeners because depending on how this goes, you may have some severe gastrointestinal problems, okay? And if those things manifest in your gallbladder, you're going to want to keep the apple cider vinegar handy, okay? Just keep it around, have it ready. You begin to feel that ache, right side, just below the rib cage, feels like Lou Ferrigno's coming. A couple sips of that will probably help. And I tell you about Urk, Netherlands, because you might want to think about moving there, okay? I don't know how this is going to go, man, and I'm not going to be a fearmonger, because it's not my election, all right? Now, we are the mouse sleeping above the elephant. Anytime the elephant moves, we go for a ride up here, you know what I'm saying? But it's the whole world now, right? This is like a global thing. We're all in this pandemic. We were already kind of globalized, everything is connected. But this pandemic has put a lot of us, most of us, in the same situation, okay? And what happens in this election that's going down today, if you're listening on release day, that could be seismic, man. And America seems to be a bit of a powder keg right now. Seems to be just a little bit on the edge of boiling over here. And when that happens, the repercussions, you drop a pebble into a lake and watch the ripples go. Well, you drop a pebble into that lake and it's a tsunami around the world potentially. So I want my American friends to keep their apple cider vinegar handy, okay? Now, if you're prone to mouth cankers, you're going to want to keep the tea tree oil handy, okay? Tea tree oil. I've also got a problem with the mouth cankers, which is also a stress reaction. Part of my coming out of the COVID kind of freak out that I had is trying to manage my stress levels a little bit, So I have fewer gallbladder and mouth canker situations. But if you're a mouth canker person, you know how fun that is. Imagine Lou Ferrigno taking his needles and just jamming them into your cheeks and leaving them to fester. That's a mouth canker. You feel that coming on. If you're experienced like me, you can feel it. Oh, something's going down in my cheek or on my lip. Get your tea tree oil, all right? That is a very powerful, natural, antiseptic, antitoxic bacteria thing. Antibacterial. And you just get a little Q-tip. You dip it in the tea tree oil. Dab it on the spot where you feel it coming. And keep doing that, man. If you catch it early enough, the canker will not come through. If the canker's coming through, it will be severely blunted. So instead of a week of agony, you'll maybe have a couple of days. And it may not even go to 10. It might stop at 7. You know what I mean? So that's Uncle Johnny's tips for your health, Americans. And the rest of the world as you watch this bananas year possibly go to 11. Because I don't know what's going to happen here, man. And I have tuned out politics as much as possible. Much as I have tuned out the news as much as possible to protect my own sanity. Such as it is, And so I have not been paying a whole lot of attention, but I get it. I get the rage situation that's happening down there. And that could blow over, it could blow not over, but it could blow up today, If Trump doesn't win, what's that going to mean? And how's he going to react? And how are his folks going to react? And what's he going to say that might incite insane levels of violence? And then what if he does win? What license does that give him? And how much does that empower and incite certain unsavory elements of the population? Now, I got to be honest with you. I don't think anything too crazy is going to happen. All right, if Trump loses, and I kind of got a feeling like he will, but man, dudes like that find a way. Even if it's not legal, they find a way and somehow make it work. So slippery, so there's no guarantee here. But I feel like if he loses, he'll probably kick up a fuss and go away. Like, I'm not expecting a civil war to happen down there and for that to spill over into our country and other countries around the world. I'm not expecting a sort of left versus right armed Armageddon. I'm not expecting the crazy stuff that some people are projecting might happen. Certainly, there's still some semblance of a system of checks and balances down there. Surely somebody who's an adult can do something to keep this in check. I'm having faith here, and some might call it naive faith, man. But hey, all faith is naive on some level. I'm trying to project into this situation. I'm trying to project into the universe some sort of optimism that Trump may throw a tantrum, but ultimately not incite armed revolution. Like, some people are bunkering down expecting a civil war. The Americans already had one of those, and it was a good one. It was a dandy. As civil wars go, that was a heck of a civil war. And I can't, as bananas as this year has been, I can't imagine something like that happening again. And I hope that doesn't make me naive. I hope it, at some level, even if Trump wins, at some level, rationality and humanity and humility will rule the day. But I'm not counting on it. So those of you who have the means and the inclination, get yourself a case of apple cider vinegar and get on a plane with your mask to Urk, Netherlands, and get a sailboat and have that fish, and maybe next year or 2 years from now, we'll come back around and play a show for you, okay? All right, I don't want to end on a dark note. Trying to be optimistic, trying to be positive, trying to see the light, trying to be the light. But you might want something a little more powerful than me, all right? I'm like the baking soda for your gallbladder. I'm going to work some of the time if you're a little gassy. You might want something a little more high test. And for that, I'm going to recommend you check out Lewis Black's Rantcast, friends. Now, if you're into the angry comedy, Lewis Black made his name on the angry comedy. He used to be a kind of a feature guy on The Daily Show with Jon Stewart. That's how I got to know him. This is going back like 15 years. And he would come on and he would do a segment that was like the angriest man in America kind of thing. And Lewis Black would just come on and rant. He is a king of ranting, political comedy, pointing out the absurdities of the world, saying the F word over and over and over and over and over to great comic effect. Some people can do that. Lewis Black is one of them. Incredibly incendiary, acerbic, sarcastic, angry comedy, and so funny. Now, a little while ago on Lou's show, he started doing these rants that other people would write and send in to him, all right? You can see this kind of stuff on YouTube. So at the end of the Lou show, or maybe it was the whole show, I don't know, he'd be in Grand Rapids, Michigan, or Sacramento, California, or Bismarck, North Dakota, wherever he is. The good people of that audience would send to him stuff that they were complaining about. A lot of potholes, a lot of pothole complaining happening down there. Infrastructure. Infrastructure's a thing, you know? Anyways, everybody's complaining about the potholes. And so people would send in just their complaints, like real retail store clerks complaining about customers, inane questions they get asked, wives complaining about husbands. And they just send in their stuff, right? And Lou would read them at the end of the show for the audience. But he would read them as him, with his own comic delivery, which is over the top and yelling and stopping and his fingers. He's famous for this finger thing he does. Really, really funny. And the way he reads these things are hilarious. And, you know, he's great at expressing the collective anger. We would all like to be able to express the collective anger the way Lou does. But the thing about it is, Lewis Black is underneath all of this sort of crustiness. He's got just this super gentleness, right? He's got a good heart, Lewis Black. He's a very, very funny man. And he's just chosen this as his method of delivery. And if you're attracted to that kind of comedy, if you get a feeling of satisfaction from a well-placed explosion, and I do, I like the angry comics, I like Lou, I like Bill Burr, I like Dennis Miller when he used to do his kind of Dennis Miller thing back in the 90s. I like the angry comedy, I like the political comedy, and Lou does a lot of that, because if you want to be angry about something, America serves up a lot of politics to be angry about, and he's good at it. So he reads these rants, they're freaking hilarious, and the way he does them is hilarious. And he'll interject his own material into it, just, one-liners and jokes and stories and anecdotes, and he'll weave that into these rants that get submitted to him by the people in the audience. And so what he's done is he's turned all of that material into Lewis Black's Rantcast, ladies and gentlemen. So if you're listening to my show and I'm just too sunny and my disposition is far too sweet and I'm not funny enough for you, because this ain't a comedy show, kids. This is a medical show. Go over and listen to Lewis Black's Rantcast. I think it will be, it's a nice release, and you can laugh and you can be angry and you can feel that anger expressed, and he purges you as he purges himself. Purges those audiences, he releases it for everyone. Now, this is a good time to get in on Lewis Black's Rantcast, because, what did I just say? The election is today if you're listening on release day. And you might be a little bit angry, and you might need something to laugh at, but you might also need that existential anger, that collective anger of the world. You feel it in you, give you a gallbladder attack. If you haven't got apple cider vinegar, let Lou purge it for you, okay? If you're into the angry comedy, go to your Apple, go to wherever you find your podcasts, leave a rating and review of mine, please. And then download and check out Lewis Black's Rantcast. He's got, I think, about 16 episodes up now. They're about an hour and 15 minutes of just funny stuff from funny people delivered by an extremely funny man, okay? Because you need to laugh, kids. Now, if you're going to check out some Lou, I got to put a little caveat on it, all right? This is not for the faint of heart. If you tune in, going to be some language happening, okay, that may not be suitable for all listeners. May offend some listeners, Lou, all right? It's going to be strong language, but it's all in good fun. So don't say I didn't warn you, kids. Don't come back at me with, your kid's saying very colorful things now that he or she wasn't saying before because you checked out some Lou in their presence. Gonna be strong. It's for adults, okay? Lou ain't for everybody, but again, very, very funny, and if you need a release, Lou's your guy, okay? You need to laugh, especially right now with what might be about to go down. You need to laugh, man. You need to release that, and you need to release feelings of anger or whatever, and, jump on Lou and get into the Rantcast, because it's very, very funny. And you might need to fill 8 hours when you're flying from here to Urk, Netherlands. And, you put up Lou's Rantcast and it'll be over. The flight will be over before you know it. You'll be entertained and you will have had some of your anger popped. Just like Dr. Pimple Popper. Remember when I talked about Dr. Pimple Popper on one of those earlier episodes? That's another release. If you're not into the angry comedy, watching Dr. Pimple Popper squeeze things out of people's bodies is another compelling release. But I've already talked about that. Go find her, Dr. Pimple Popper, on the Instagram. You can find Lewis Black on the Instagram as well. Find his Rantcast, because I think you'll like it, because I think it's very funny. And if you're anything like me, and you probably are if you're listening, you will enjoy Lewis Black's Rantcast. He also has a new special out called Thanks for Risking Your Lives, I think it's called. It was taped just as COVID was happening. So I have not seen it because it's not on Amazon Canada. Come on, Amazon. Get it to me so I can watch it and then I can tell you all about it. But it's out there somewhere. And go check out the Rantcast because you might like it. There was other stuff I was going to talk about, man. I'm not going to do it. Going to save it for next time because we're sneaking up on an hour into this thing. And that's enough. That's enough, especially on election day. You're probably glued to your television sets, or you're glued to all those Instagram influencers. I don't know. Whatever you're glued to, you're probably glued to something. So I'm going to let you go. Be glued. Good luck to everyone. What I've said today should not be taken as official medical recommendations. Always see your doctor and watch for side effects. That stuff's worked for me. Might work for you too, all right? I'm going to go. I hope you're okay. I hope this election, however it goes peacefully. And I hope you go peacefully too. I'm going to be back real soon. Hope you're doing well. Drop me a line. Let me know if there's something you want me to talk about, want me to clarify, want me to go into a little bit more. Let me know if there's music you think I ought to check out, or a comedy, or anything. You know, this is a community, my friends. This is a community, kids, of like-minded individuals with gallbladder pain and anger to be expressed by someone else. Have a great day. See you on the other side of this election, friends, and take care. Thank you once again, gentle listener, for taking in today's show. If you want to know more about the program, go to www.john-huff.com. That's JOHN-HUFF.com and click on podcast. You can also find the show on Facebook at The John Huff Podcast. If you're an Instagram person, you can find me at JW_Huff. If you're a Twitter person, you can find me at @JWSHuff. No matter where you listen to the show, please do me a big, big favor and leave a rating and review. Preferably a positive one. That's all the time we have for today, but I'll be back very soon. Until then, keep your wits about you, and remember, good things happen when you put yourself out there. Bye for now. Don't make me angry. You won't like me when I'm angry. Where's Lou? Ferrigno or black, it doesn't matter.